What's going on, everybody? It's FREEDO here for your Overwatch. Big patch went to the live game today, making some drastic changes to a few heroes, and we get the new map Busan. No word on whether or not it's going to be held from competitive play or not. Blizzard seems to change their rules on these things from time to time. I suspect that it won't be live immediately, but you never know. A lot of these hero changes we did cover in a previous video when it went to the PTR, and it looks like just about all of them have gone through. First up, Ana's biotic rifle now has increased precision of the relative aim sensitivity while zoomed slider. I don't mess with that function with Ana or Widow, but if you do, that is important for you. Important change to Brigitte's shield bash, where now she trades just like normal pin abilities do, like Reinhardt and Doomfist. Whenever they hit each other with a punch or a shield bash or a pin, it in effect gets traded and both targets get knocked down. This is a big deal because prior to this, Brigitte was able to sometimes sneak in a stun effect and win in those situations, whereas now both targets get affected. And realistically, Brigitte is one of the hardest targets to kill in the entire game. So if she's on the ground, her shield isn't up, which makes her a very easy target to focus. This one might slip under the radar for a lot of players, but it's a significant change and nerf, actually, to how some of these interactions work. Next up is Reinhardt, who's been fixed for the 100th time. According to the patch notes, now consistently hits enemies near walls, no longer hits enemies that enter the damage cone after the wave has passed that area, no longer damages enemies behind barriers blocking it, even if the barrier is later dropped or destroyed. That was a really big deal and a huge exploit if you knew how to abuse it, but now it's gone. Always travels up inclines and around the payload. The developers say, we've given Earthshatter a complete overhaul to combat inconsistencies with its performance. These changes will make Earthshatter's behavior more predictable and effective. Widowmaker's hook got buffed as well, now retains momentum when used on environments or structures without a ledge. This is really key because, as we all know, if you've played Widowmaker, being able to nimbly get away accurately where you want to go and have a lot of midair control when doing so is a big deal when avoiding pursuers. So now that momentum being consistent will give Widow a bit more of a buff to her survivability. The Widow's Kiss rifle as well, just like Ana, also increase the precision of the relative aim sensitivity when zoomed. Competitive play update. GM players now can queue with players 350 skill rating apart. Yay, I guess. I don't know, this is such a small change. I don't know if it changes anything. We've discussed at length our distaste for these queue limits. It makes using the LFG feature not even possible for these high-ranked players. Not to mention there's kind of a stigma around grouping up anyway, at the higher ranks especially. I think it's a good change overall. Having to whip out the calculator to know exactly how close you are or aren't in order to be able to play with a friend is always a pain, and I wish they made the gap for being able to play with each other way wider. At all ranks, really. At least when you're in a full group. But that's an argument for another day. Other changes up, we've got Rialto, whose payload travel speed has been slightly increased. You may not know this, but all the different maps, the way that their objectives work is different from one another. So you may think that a payload moves at the same rate on all the maps, but that's not true, actually. They adjust it per map. Also, the amount of time the payload pauses at checkpoints has been reduced. I think this might make a very big deal because especially on the first point of Rialto, the defense pretty reliably can get a stall fight at the checkpoint, even with few members alive, because there's just so much cover, they can sort of just stay at the payload and be really hard to dislodge. But if the payload moves a bit faster, maybe you will be able to more easily sneak the payload into the checkpoint before the defenders can come stall it. So we'll have to see how that pans out. Rialto's kind of a goofy map. You may have thought Junkertown was a goofy map, but Rialto kind of takes the cake, especially with all the environmental kills. Moving on to a slew of different bug fixes. I'm not going to go over all of these, but some of them are quite substantial. Probably the most important one is Roadhog, which, with any luck, fixed a bug that sometimes caused Roadhog's chain hook to break after hitting an enemy while maintaining line of sight. But also what came with this was the alternate fire nerf, which, according to Blizzard, is essentially a bug fix, but it means that Roadhog, especially at longer ranges, is going to be much worse at breaking shields and dealing damage with his alternate fire. A bunch of fixes to Reinhardt, a few more to a couple other characters, but probably the most important one we're saving till the end of the video. Wrecking Ball fixed a bug that prevented Wrecking Ball's pile driver from dealing fall-off damage, as well as the pile driver dealing double damage bug, which we've covered in the past. This now on the live game should be all fixed. Now, the only problem is Wrecking Ball is a very difficult hero to play in ranked. I think most players don't prefer to play with a Wrecking Ball on their team, and I love the little guy. He's like one of my favorite characters of the game now, and he's just really hard to play. So I don't think he needs major buffs or anything. It's just that he definitely did see an increase in use just because these bugs effectively buffed his damage on Pile Driver either 2 to like 5 times. So just removing that is for all intents and purposes a nerf, because he's functionally going to do way less damage than he used to. Because if you used to direct somebody with Pile Driver, it did 100 to everybody. The amount of reduced damage you're getting now is massively significant. Going to see way lower charge rates on the minefield, and I already thought he was quite difficult to land on targets accurately unless you get really good at him. So we'll have to see how this pans out. Wrecking Ball's an odd character, where very effective in the right hands, but for most of us, he's just a feed. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave it a like. It really does help us out, lets us know that you're enjoying the content, and if you haven't already, please subscribe because we upload each and every day, so you're gonna wanna hit the bell icon so you get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, and dank memes. That's been it for me. I've been FREEDO for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.